All right, School of Light, chapter 14, man. That one thing, it just got me so much because here they were, they wanted deliverance, they got the deliverance, a little danger came close. Their faith just melted away like wax. And they had uh, completely turned like, hey, we told you, why did you bring us out here, Moses, to die? We told you, man, it'd be better just to serve the Egyptians. At least there, it's, and you also got to think that these folks have been slaves for 400 plus years, 430. So that's in their in their mentality, um, and it's hard probably to really on a large scale like this, out of 1 million people that were slaves, to have a large percentage of them turn those slave thoughts and attitudes and beliefs around to a free person's thoughts, attitudes, and beliefs. So let's hop into chapter 15. Oh, so before that, and so they were willing to start saying, "Hey, we should have stayed there, and we should have gone back." And you don't ever want to go back. When God delivers you, don't go back. Don't be the dog that goes after his own vomit from a while ago and eats it. Don't be, and that's me. I'm telling you, I'm probably the worst of you guys. And the only thing that really good in me is God. God has influenced me and brought some things to my character that's changed in a positive way. But when it comes down to it, true goodness comes from God, and He alone is good. Then Moses and the Israelites sang this song to the Lord. This is after they got delivered, right? Because the Egyptians were now dead on the seashore. I will sing to the Lord, for He is highly exalted. The horse and its rider He has hurled into the sea. The Lord is my strength and my song. He has become my salvation. He is my God, and I will praise Him. My Father's God, and I will exalt Him. The Lord is a warrior. The Lord is His name. Pharaoh's chariots and his army He has hurled into the sea. The best of Pharaoh's officers are drowned in the Red Sea. The deep waters have covered them. They sank to the depths like a stone. Your right hand, O Lord, was majestic in power. Your right hand, O Lord, has shattered the enemy. In the greatness of your majesty, you threw down those who opposed you. You unleashed your burning anger. It consumed them like stubble. By the blast of your nostrils, the waters piled up. The surging waters stood firm like a wall. The deep waters congealed in the heart of the sea. The enemy boasted, I will pursue, I will overtake them, I will divide the spoils, I will gorge myself on them, I will draw my sword, and my hand will destroy them. But you blew your breath. Wow. But you blew your breath. That's verse 10. And talking about breath, I had someone, speak some positive things to me through something that felt like a very tough a blow from those that were from family. Kind of like, I was kind of like in Joseph's situation. And the right word, just really snapped me, helped me, break me, blowing the rock out of my obstacle like a C4. And that breath that God put in these people spoke on me and brought me back to life. And the sea covered them. They sank like they sank like lead in the mighty waters. Who among the gods is like you, O Lord? Who is like you, majestic in holiness, awesome in glory, working wonders? You stretched out your right hand, and the earth swallowed them. In your unfailing love, you will lead the people you have redeemed. In your strength, you will guide them to your holy dwelling. The nations will hear and tremble. Anguish will grip the people of Philistia. The chief of Edom will be terrified. The leaders of Moab will be seized with trembling. The people of Canaan will melt away. Terror and dread will fall upon them. By the power of your arm, they will be as still as a stone until your people pass by, O Lord, until the people you bought pass by. You will bring them in and plant them on the mountain of your inheritance, the place, O Lord, you made for your dwelling. The sanctuary, O Lord, your hands established, the Lord will reign forever and ever. When Pharaoh's horses, chariots, and horsemen went into the sea, the Lord brought the waters of the sea back over them. But the Israelites walked through the sea on dry ground. Then Miriam the prophetess, Aaron's sister, took a tambourine in her hand, and all the women followed her with tambourines, dancing Miriam's song to them. Sing to the Lord, for he is mighty exalted. The horse and its rider he has hurled into the sea. Then Moses led Israel from the Red Sea, and they went into the desert of Shur. For 3 days they traveled into the desert without finding water. When they came to Marah, they could not drink its water because it was bitter. That's why the place is called Marah. So people grumbled against Moses, saying, "What are we to drink?" Then Moses cried out to the Lord, and the Lord showed him a piece of wood. He threw it into the water, and the water became sweet. There the Lord made a decree and a law for them, and there he tested them. He said, "If you listen carefully to the voice of the Lord your God and do what is right in his eyes, if you pay attention to his commands and keep all of his decrees, I will not bring on you any of the diseases brought upon the Egyptians. For I am the Lord God who heals you." Or I am the Lord who heals you. Then they came to Elim, where there were 12 springs and 70 palm trees. They camped there near the water. Okay, so you remember Jesus had 12 disciples that were with him forever, or to the end, or to, you know what I mean. And then he had also more. He had sent out 70. I'm not sure of the significance of the 12 and 70 here in particular. But I just wanted to mention that because that's the only other combination of 12 and 70 I can think of. Chapter 16. The whole Israelite community set out from Elim and came to the desert of Sin, which is between Elim and Sinai. On the 15th day of the second month after they had come out of Egypt, in the desert, the whole community grumbled against Moses and Aaron. The Israelites said to them, "If only we had died by the Lord's hand in Egypt. There we sat around pots of meat and ate all the food that we wanted. But you have brought us out into this desert to starve this entire assembly to death." Remember, they were slaves in Egypt, so he's basically saying, "Oh man, after a slave day in Egypt, at least they gave us some boiling meat." Then the Lord said to Moses, "I will rain down bread from heaven for you." This, folks, I want you to look at this, the manna, as Jesus Christ. Okay? As I read through this, and hopefully you'll see that it really is Christ. The manna is symbolic for Christ, and I want you to keep that in mind as I finish reading chapter 16. Then the Lord said to Moses, "I will rain down bread from heaven for you. The people are to go out each day and gather enough food for that day. In this way, I will test them and see whether they will follow my instructions. On the 6th day, they are to prepare what they bring in, and that is to be twice as much as they gather on the other days." So Moses and Aaron said to all the Israelites in the evening, "You will know that it was the Lord who brought you out of Egypt. And in the morning you will see the glory of the Lord, because he has heard your grumbling against him. Who are we that you should grumble against us?" Moses also said, "You will know that it is the Lord when he gives you meat to eat in the evening and all the bread you want in the morning, because he has heard your grumbling against him. Who are we? You are not grumbling against us, but against the Lord," Moses says to them. Then Moses told Aaron, "Say to the entire Israelite community, 'Come before the Lord, for he has heard your grumbling.'" When Aaron was speaking to the whole Israelite community, they looked toward the desert, and there was the glory of the Lord appearing in the cloud. Then the Lord said to, correction, the Lord said to Moses, I have heard the grumbling of the Israelites. Tell them at twilight you will eat meat, and in the morning you will be filled with bread. Then you will know that I am the Lord your God. That evening, quail came and covered the camp, and in the morning there was a layer of dew around the camp. When the dew was gone, thin flakes like frost on the ground appeared on the desert floor. When the Israelites saw it, they said to each other, What is it? For they did not know what it was. Moses said to them, It is bread the Lord has given you to eat. The Lord has given you to eat. This is what the Lord commanded. Each one is to gather as much as he needs. Take an omer for each person you have in your tent. Okay. So I said, look at this as Christ being the manna, right? So God provides this layer of dew around the camp in the mornings. And when the dew was gone, thin flakes like frost on the ground appeared on the desert floor. When the Israelites saw it, they said to each other, What is it? So this little flake, like a dry and left like a flake or a crystal behind, and it's the bread that God gives them to eat. He tells them to gather as much as they need, and at least one omer for each person you have in your tent. In the morning, that's when they gather it. You notice we do this in the morning: the prayer, the Bibles, the readings, the meditation, the spending time with God. I usually do it in the morning. A lot of people do it in the morning. You don't have to, but in this illustration, it shows that it's in the morning. And personally, my belief is that if you read the Bible, get His Word, meditate on it, not have your mind in the place where like friends or people around you that mock the sinners. Blessed is he who does not walk in the way of the wicked or the wicked. Stand in the way of sinners or sit in the seat of mockers. So you're not in there. In the morning you're putting this. It's not in these different seats that can sit in your mind and you entertain. It's nutrients. It's nutrition. It's energy for your spirit. So each one gathered as much as they needed. So Moses said to them, No one is to keep any of it until the morning. However, some of them paid no attention to Moses. They kept part of it until morning, but it was full of maggots and began to smell. So Moses was angry with them. Each morning, everyone gathered as much as he needed, and when the sun grew hot, it melted away. On the sixth day, they gathered twice as much, 2 omers for each person, and the leader of the community came and reported it to Moses. He said to them, This is what the Lord commanded. Tomorrow is a day of rest, a holy Sabbath to the Lord. So bake what you want to bake and boil what you want to boil. Save whatever is left and keep it until the morning. So they saved it until morning as Moses commanded, and it did not stink or get maggots in it. So on that particular day, it wouldn't. Eat it today, Moses said, because today is the Sabbath to the Lord. You will not find any of it on the ground today. 6 days you are to gather it, but on the 7th day, the Sabbath, there will not be any. Always the 6 days of working, the 6 days, 1 day of rest. This case, 6 days of God providing bread, 1 day He's not. 1 day He doesn't want them to go out there and gather. He gives them a double portion on the day before the 7th day. Which is the 6th day. Okay. Nevertheless, some of the people went out. Okay. Giving you this evidence. Okay. Bear in mind that the Lord has given you the Sabbath. That is why on the 6th day He gives you bread for 2 days. Everyone is to stay where he is on the 7th day. No one is to go out. So the people rested on the 7th day. The people of Israel called the bread manna. It was white like coriander seed, and tasted like wafer made with honey. Moses said, "This is what the Lord has commanded. Take an omer of the manna and keep it for generations to come, so they can see the bread I gave you to eat in the desert when I brought you out of Egypt." So Moses and Aaron took a so Moses said to Aaron, "Take a jar, put an omer of manna in it, then place it before the Lord to be kept for generations to come." That one didn't get maggots or rot. As the Lord commanded Moses, Aaron put the manna in front of the testimony that it might be kept. The Israelites ate manna 40 years until they came to a land that was settled. They ate manna until they reached the border of Canaan. 40 years. Now imagine this, if you read God's word, if you meditate on his word for 40 years, every day, 6 days a week, for 40 years, it would revolutionize your life. It would give you life. Chapter 17. The whole Israelite community set out from the desert of Sin, traveling from place to place as the Lord commanded. They camped at Rephidim, but there was no water for the people to drink. So they quarreled with Moses and said, "Give us water to drink." Moses replied, "Why do you quarrel with me? Why do you put the Lord to the test?" But the people were thirsty for water there, and they grumbled against Moses. They said, "Why did you bring us up out of Egypt to make us and our children and livestock die of thirst?" Question mark. Excuse me. Then Moses cried out to the Lord, "What am I to do with these people? They are almost ready to stone me." The Lord answered Moses, "Walk on ahead of the people. Take with you some of the elders of Israel, and take your staff in your hand, which you struck the Nile, and go. And I will stand before you by the rock at Horeb. Strike the rock, and water will come out of it for the people to drink." So Moses did this in the sight of the elders of Israel, and called the place Massah and Meribah, because the Israelites quarreled and because they tested the Lord, saying, "Is the Lord among us or not?" After all this, after the manna, 40 years, is he around us? That's us too, man. Oh, God saved you last year, saved you yesterday, 6 months ago. Oh, was that really God? I believe Charles Darwin, son of a gun, he looked like a founding father of the nation, white hair and curly, and do not be like these folks. Do not grumble. Strike the rock at Horeb, and water will come out of it for people to drink. So Moses did it in the sight of the elders, and he called the place Massah and Meribah, because there the Israelites quarreled and because they tested the Lord, saying, "Is the Lord among us or not?" The Amalekites came and attacked the Israelites at Rephidim. Moses said to Joshua, "Choose some of our men and go out to fight the Amalekites. Tomorrow I will stand on top of the hill with the staff of God in my hands," because they're on the border of Canaan. So Joshua fought the Amalekites as Moses had ordered, and Moses, Aaron, and Hur went up to the top of the hill. As long as Moses held up his hands, the Israelites were winning, but whenever he lowered his hands, the Amalekites were winning. When Moses' hands grew tired, they took a stone and put it under him, and he sat on it. And Aaron and Hur held his hands up, one on one side, one on the other, so that his hands remained steady till sunset. So Joshua overcame the Amalekite army with the sword. Then the Lord said to Moses, "Write this on a scroll as something to be remembered, and make sure that Joshua hears it, because I will completely blot out the memory of Amalek from under heaven." Moses built an altar and called it, "The Lord is my banner." Excuse me. Thank you. The Lord is my banner, he said, for it. Hands were lifted up to the throne of the Lord. The Lord will be at war against the Amalekites from generation to generation. So what's the thing here? The rock is, in my opinion, is Christ. Moses hits it with the staff. The staff has to represent something. And I also noticed that God is concerned over just the general welfare of his people, not so much the spiritual welfare. He's providing food for them to eat, water for them to drink. And then the water from the rock is like the symbolic of the word that comes from Christ. It's washing, it's refreshing, it's life giving. So that's chapter 17. I'm going to end it here, guys. I got a late start. Usually I do these from 4:30 in the morning to 6:30 in the morning, and I don't think I was up till 6:45 or something. 6:30, and didn't get started on this till almost 7. God bless. Stay in the Word. Pray, meditate, and if things have you down, I want to say, I believe in you. And if you're on God's side, and if you're on the right, um, feel confidence in knowing that if you do right, God will deliver you. Love you guys. God bless, and pray. Have a good day. Bye bye.